What is up? Thank you for coming to my channel, Prison POV. Shout out to the joiners. Shout out to Point of View crew. And today, we're going to talk about the skinhead dogs in general. But we're going to talk about a couple skinhead dogs, Demon and Dopey, specifically. And let me start out by saying that the skinhead dogs were racist, skinhead, gang, clique, organization, whatever you want to call it, from Ventura, California. They started in the 80s, they peaked in the 90s, and by the 2000s, they diminished significantly. They had a couple high-profile cases that tarnished their look. You just can't do anything you want out there in the streets and get away with it. Get away with it for a while, not for long. And I'm not just talking about the law, I'm talking about with the homeboys. You should be more worried about the homeboys, a lot of times, than the law. Let me just say this, that of all the time I did, I never once, not only have I never met a skinhead dog, but I never even heard about one being in the vicinity. Like there's one over here in this yard, I just left one, I never heard of one, I never met one, and that ought to tell you something. So, let me start out by saying that these two skinhead dogs, Demon and Dopey, let me just give you a little sneak peek. I don't want to give the story away before I unfold it, but let me just say if these two dudes accuse somebody, falsely accuse somebody of telling on them. And that's actually pretty common when you run around the mix. It doesn't take much to spark someone's suspicion, especially when drugs are in play and when you maybe just met these people and when everyone has an ulterior motive. No one's thinking clearly, no one's thinking straight. And usually when someone gets busted out in the streets, everyone around is thinking, oh, I know who did it. Who do you think did it? They're all talking and gossiping because, they didn't just bust themselves. Someone had to send the cops there. Who did it? And everyone starts talking. Who's the mole? And so it's not, let me just say, hey, rat jackets get handed out on the regular. And that's what happened. These dudes, Demon and Dopey, tripped out on somebody, thought they told, and they didn't. But let me just give you an example from my own life. For instance, I had a good homeboy. He was living with these two chicks, running a room off of them. They had an apartment. These two chicks stayed in this room. Homeboy stayed in this room. Well, I get out of the pen. I start visiting homeboy, and I meet the girls. I become acquainted with one. I start dating her. Then another one of the homeboys gets out of the pen. He starts coming around, hanging out. He starts dating the other girl. So now you have homeboy running a room off these two chicks, and two of his homeboys are dating them. So we would go there not to visit homeboy, but to visit all ladies. And the whole mood just got kind of sour. It just turned into kind of a trippy little thing. These girls ended up really not liking dude. He was leaving a bad taste in their mouth. He's kind of bossy, controlling. They really wanted him out of the house. He wouldn't leave. I was trying not to get involved. He's my homeboys, my old lady. It got messy. We all decided, by we all, I mean me and the two females and homeboy was dating the other chick, decided to go to Disneyland. To leave town, have some fun. We didn't invite dude because there's too much tension. We didn't want him to go. He was uninvited. So we didn't even tell him we went. We just all got up in the morning, said, later, bro. And we hit the Grapevine, went to Orange County, went to Disneyland. In the process of all that, of us going out of town, the cops raid the pad. Cops raid the pad, start kicking in the door, taking him to jail. He calls us. Where are you guys at? The cops are here raiding the house. I'm going to go to jail. And it's like, sorry about your luck. We're in Disneyland, Orange County. He's like, imagine that, he's thinking. Of all the days you guys decide to leave town, is the days of parole, the cops raid the pad. If me and homeboy had been there, we would have gone to jail also. We weren't there, so we were in Disneyland. So he starts thinking, oh man, awfully suspicious. He didn't accuse me and homeboy, or he didn't suspect me and homeboy, but he thought the two females orchestrated it. Arranged for him to get raided, and then said, come on, to their boyfriends, just led us like a carrot and the horse scenario. Let's go to Disneyland, guys, to get us out of the way so that he can get raided and go to jail. He was suspicious, and he was tripping. But he found out the truth. That's not how it went down. He'd already been watched. He was sloppy. It's one of those things that was already in play. And also, for the longest, I thought my brother told on me. Because me and my brother are fighting on a Friday night at my house. Hardly no one knows where my house is at. Very few people are invited there or allowed there. My brother and I are arguing in my garage. I end up chasing him out of the garage and down the street with a broom. That's on Friday night. Tuesday morning, cops show up parole. I'm thinking awfully suspicious. Me and my brother get in a big argument on Friday. A couple days later, cops show up first thing in the morning. No one knows about my house, only a couple people. For the longest, I thought he told on me. I was suspicious. I didn't tell nobody. I didn't put a rat jacket on him. I thought it was him. I was like, oh, I see you, buddy. But then I found out the truth. What I'm trying to say is, homie, it's easy to suspect somebody doing something they didn't. That's why paperwork's so important. Be that as it may, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Another thing that's interesting about this case is that another thing I find very interesting about this case is the individual, the demon and Dopey told on them was actually an underage 17-year-old girl. Why was she even there in the first place? Why was she even allowed to kick it? I've never ran with the crew or kicked it with my homeboys or been involved with a set or been running amok or been involved with this or that and had anybody underage in the mix with us. Especially an underage female, dude, it's highly looked down upon and it's frowned upon and you can't pull that off. For instance, let me give you another little example from my own life. One of my homeboys actually was my weed connect. Again, rented out his room, but to a couple. To this guy and this girl. And after my weed connect let this guy and this girl move into a room at his apartment, all these rules were in place that weren't there before. And the guy that he let move in, he let a couple move in, but the guy was real pushy, bossy, controlling, kind of like took over the pad and made all these rules. We used to be able to come and go, and now we'd come over at 9 o'clock at night. Instead of our weed connect, the homeboy answering the door. It'd be his new roommate dude who we let move in answer. No, it's too late, guys. He'd say, no, don't come around through the back. You have to come into the front. He wouldn't let no one in the house. You can't come in. You can't wait outside. Just this dude moved in and kind of messed up the whole cha-cha for us. When it was just my homeboy, the weed connect, there were no rules. He lets us dude move in with his old lady. Rules galore. We can't do this. We can't do that. Like he's trying to keep us away and push us out. Like I said, one night we went over there and knocked on the door. Hey, what's up? Hey, it's too late. You guys can't be there. You have to take off. It's too late. And when you come back tomorrow morning, don't come back. No, don't come too early. You have a little window of time. And as we're leaving, like, snarf, what's up with that dude? One of our homeboys says, you know what, man? You know what I think's going on here? I heard that dude, that his girlfriend, there's a big age difference between that dude who moved in with our homeboy or we connect, this little couple he let move in. There's a big age difference between the dude and the chick. Maybe that's why he won't let us in. That's why every time we come over, he says, no, you can't stay, you can't wait, you can't go, you have to leave. Maybe that's why he's trying to control us and push us off. He doesn't want us to see who he's in a relationship with because there's a big age difference. And we're literally out in the front yard plotting all this, being like, yeah, I remember hearing something like that. We're putting two together. This dude's like 25 years old. We're thinking, man, he must have some young underage girlfriend. We rush the pad, dude. Boom, we kick the door in. It falls off the hinges. We find dude, we start giving him the what for, knees and elbows. We're bombing on him. Just based on. There's a female there trying to break up the fight. And she's old. I'm judging as she's old, I say, because I see a lot of gray hair and a lot of wrinkles. And you got this older female, and she's trying to get in the middle of the fight. Like, babe, what's going on? You can't, stop, babe. And we're beating this dude going, you got this old lady, babe. It's like slowly start dawning on us. Wait, is this his girlfriend? If it was, there would be a big age gap. Only she's much older than that. Either that or it's his mom and she's calling him babe, which has to be weird too. But maybe we should stop punching and start asking some questions like, hey, what's going on here? Sorry about the door. We can fix that. No problemo. But he's like, yeah, as it turned out, that was his old lady. There was a big age difference. She was a lot older. And no, he wasn't trying to keep us away because he was worried about us finding anything out. He was just a dick. And he didn't like all the traffic at his house. So now let's just go ahead and get into the story. Now, Demon and Dopey were running amok. They had some stolen goods that they wanted to take to the swap meet and sell. And they were just selling and buying drugs. And they're just overall in the streets just kicking up dust. They're hanging out with some chick named Bridget. And they're also hanging out with a 17-year-old female named Nicole Hendricks. Well, in the process of them all hanging out and kicking it, the cops rolled up on them and gaffled them all up. They're probably a bust. I mean, look at the thumbnail. That's Demon and Dopey. They're covered in tattoos. They got their heads shaved. They're both fresh out of prison. They're YA babies. They're in and out. The cops probably know exactly who they are. And they're out on the street, bro. The cops see them, pull up on them. Of course they do. They're probably out there fronting themselves off. Cops gaffle them all up. Well, guess what? The 17-year-old Nicole Hendricks, who they should have never had around them anyway, gets released out of jail because she's underage and her mom comes and picks her up. That's how it works. I remember when I was in high school, I beat this dude up. I got arrested, and they called my dad, and he came and got me. Anytime when I was a kid and I got arrested, they call your parents and say, come get you. Isn't that how it works? So, she's underage. The mom comes gets her. Dopey and Demon see that. Say, how does she get out of jail? She must have told. The funny thing is, they went to jail and they got out too. It's more suspicious if they're in and out because they're on parole. What are you guys doing getting in and getting out? So what I'm going to ask, but homeboy, that wasn't the question that got asked. The question that got asked is what's up with this Nicole girl? What's up with her? Why'd she get out? So they start plotting. They fixate on her and they start plotting. They end up taking her to a motel. Demon, Dopey, and that girl named Bridget. They take her to a motel and they have taken her breath from her. So once she's no longer with us, Demon and Dopey take this girl, they deconstruct her, I guess you could say, and put her in a barrel with some cement that never even hardened. Too much water, I suppose. Just like a slushy gumbo of some bad mix. And they let that barrel just sit in the backyard for about 5 days, the next 5 days while they're out running amok. Then what happens, they go to jail on some unrelated charge. Apparently they beat someone with a bat, running down the street. While they're in jail, though, they start to think, wow, we got that barrel with the unhardened concrete, actually, just stuff floating in the backyard. Very obvious. Someone can see it and spot it and be curious about it. They start getting paranoid, making some calls. Hey, get rid of that barrel. They called that Bridget girl that was involved with them at the motel anyway, when it was Demon, Dopey, that girl Bridget, and the girl Nicole Hendricks. Rest in peace. More on Bridget later. Remember that name. So they call some people. The people come get the barrel, and they go and dump it. Well, the phone call they made from jail saying, hey, get rid of that barrel, ended up biting them in the ass later on. Not only that, that Nicole ended up telling on them. There's a whole another issue going on with another skinhead dog, a dude named Mumbles. He ended up doing some chick, and it was like 6 years prior to this. But the thing with Nicole Hendricks and the thing with that guy Mumbles, both those crimes, Mumbles' crime and Demon and Dopey's crime, they all got combined, and guess what? The girl Bridget told on everybody. But when Bridget told on Mumbles and his situation, and Bridget told on Demon and Dopey. But the thing about it, when she told on Demon and Dopey, she said, I want immunity. I'm going to tell you everything that happened to this girl. I was there that night. I want immunity. I'm going to tell you what Demon and Dopey did. I'm going to tell you how they did it, why they did it, where they did it. I was there. I want full immunity. I don't want to spend a day in jail for this. And the cop said, okay, tell us everything you know. You won't spend a day in jail if you weren't involved. If you were just there. Because of course she's saying, I was scared. I thought they were going to do something to me after they did something to her. I was just scared. I'm somewhat a hostage. I didn't know what to do. I had no voice in the matter. I'm a victim. So they're saying, okay, if you really just were there, scared, had no part in it, and you tell us the whole story, you will get immunity. But if you're involved at all, in the least bit, then you have no immunity. You're going to get charges pressed on you and want to throw the book. So she's telling the story. She goes, okay, I had no involvement. So she's telling the story, seeing how it went down. And at one point, that poor girl, man, they took her in the bathroom and they had her in the bathtub. And they're trying to stomp her, whatever they're trying to do. Well, she gets up and tries to run out. But Bridget grabs her and it stops her from leaving the bathroom, pushes her back in. And when she gets to that part of the story, she's telling the cops, yeah. And then she's in the bathtub and she's trying to get up and run out. But I stopped her and grabbed her. I stepped in her way. And the cops are like, what? She tried to flee and you wouldn't let her flee? You held her there? And you wouldn't let her, you wouldn't help her? You wouldn't let her flee? She's like, oh, whoa. And they took her immunity away. Not only is she telling them, but she told on herself. She got convicted. They got convicted. The dude Mumbles got convicted. Everyone got convicted. And like I said, it gave them a black eye, homeboy. It really tarnished their look because it was a bad look to do that to that youngster chick, homeboy. Shit would never went down like that. Me and my homeboys, guarantee you that. And then the whole thing with Mumbles, you can hear how that transpires. I'm in the process of reading the book. Taking it nice and slow. So far I just did chapter 1, part 1. You know, break chapter 1 into 2 parts, homeboy. Know what I mean? So with that said, I'm going to cut the string and let it fly. Peace.